Your daughter has the right to not care about how you feel. My name is Kate. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I help people restore their relationships. And recently I've been making videos on estrangement between parents and their adult children. Let's talk about the daughters. In the last video, y'all understood everything I said about sons, daughter-in-laws, and estranged parents. Now let's talk about the girl side. Before I get into it, one more thing. This is very heteronormative. I'm using the terms son and daughter just to make a point, just for the simplicity of education, but this is not gender specific. We see all these traits in opposite genders as well. So take what you like and leave the rest. This is a genogram. We've got the dad married to the mom. Then we've got the son married to the daughter-in-law, and then the daughter married to the son-in-law. This is not part of the official genogram symbols, but this is the daughter, this is the mother, and the father, and the son. And then we've got him. He's probably balding. Okay, so we have one big happy family with the new additions here. Now, in these families, what we see in estrangement is the daughter cuts off the parents when she enters motherhood. Why is that? What is she thinking? How could she do this to us? Where is her village? We are her village. We want to help her so much. Let me explain to you what's happening. I'm going to introduce the term enmeshment. We saw it in the last video with the son and the mom, where the mom is getting her emotional needs met by her son because she either doesn't know that she's allowed to get them met with her husband because of beliefs like, men get their emotional needs met by sex, or men just aren't emotional, or whatever. You get the point. And so she doesn't experience emotional intimacy because there's no vulnerability from this side. And so remember, the son fills that void for her, accidentally or not, and it's still messed up. It messes up their relationship. So let's talk about the opposite end of it, which is the enmeshed daughter. When the mom doesn't have boundaries, and when the dad is very passive and emotionally absent, this creates a split in the daughter, and she does not know the difference between her mom and a friend. The mom is not a leader emotionally. The mom does not meet her own emotional needs, get them met by her husband or through her friends, and so her and her daughter grow up best friends. Now, on one level, this is not that unhealthy for a daughter who's really young to think of her mom as her best friend. That is so healthy. But remember the 3 stages, right? We've got attachment, detachment, and connection. So we want to get this daughter to connection, but what first has to happen is detachment. Happening with the daughter is that she doesn't know emotional boundaries, and she doesn't know boundaries, period. Because what happens in the daughter is she typically, and again, we're stereotyping here, this is not gender specific, but she was probably a very empathetic and sensitive and others oriented child. And that is to the delight of the parents, right? Like the dad loves a little girl because she is so sensitive and vulnerable and doesn't place demands on him emotionally, right? He can totally be himself. And yet when she grows up, it starts to remind him of an adult woman, and he gets scared, he shuts down. They no longer have an emotional attachment. And the only one left is between the mom and her daughter. And again, when the mom has her own attachment stuff, that is very unhealthy for the daughter because the daughter needs to learn to get her emotional needs met by herself. But also the dad's role in this is that she's used to an emotionally absent presence. And so she marries the son-in-law who, because she's familiar with these attachment behaviors. So if you get anything from my videos, please understand, if you're an estranged parent or an estranged adult child, everything comes down to the marriage when it comes to your own family. Think about your babies here. Everything is about the marriage. Everything is about the marriage, the parents' ability to come together. Because otherwise, this creates a split in the children, which repeats the cycle of generational trauma, which is these attachment issues, and no one getting their needs met and no one being in functional relationships. So enter empty marriages for 35 years or divorce, which ultimately are the worst possible things for children because, again, it messes with their inner psyche. But this causes in the daughter is we call it an anxious attachment, right? So the son never learned, he only learned freedom in relationships. He never learned consequences. He never learned boundaries. And that's because his parents didn't help him detach in a healthy way and empathize, right? Daughter didn't detach either from the mom, and so she gets married and then runs to the mom with all of her problems, and the mom feeds it, probably subconsciously because she's dealing with that also. But the other thing is that the daughter doesn't learn that it's her place and right to demand that from her partner. And so the other part of this, having an emotionally absent dad, is she doesn't learn to set boundaries. Being a kind, empathetic daughter, which the parents reinforce, she gets really rewarded for her empathy. Oh my gosh, she's such a sweet little girl. She just has the biggest heart. She's so kind. But this is why I'm kind of anti the be kind, kindness movement, because girls are already kind. They need to learn boundaries and self-respect in a relationship. If that is not present in her mom's marriage or in her parents' marriage, because again, children do what they see their parents doing, and their inner world is built on how parents respond. But what happens is when the daughter does not learn boundaries, and she's a very empathetic, others-oriented person naturally, she learns an over-responsibility emotionally and is crippled by insane guilt, especially with her mom. Because again, her mom treats her like she's her best friend, tells her all her issues, maybe confides in her about the marriage, maybe is like, hey, when you're older, like make sure you have your own money so that you're not stuck in a marriage like me. Like that is, but you're still married. So that's giving a very mixed message, and also has the effect of emotionally causing guilt in your child, because again, you're the leader here. You're supposed to hold space for her and not the other way around. The daughter grows up, she gets married, she starts getting a lot of anger and anxiety towards her parents that she probably can't understand. Because again, this stuff is emotional stuff. This is the emotional undercurrent of the relationships throughout the child's life development. When she starts going to therapy in her 20s, she's realizing that she has just this guilt in her life and this over responsibility, and she's wondering where it comes from, because it doesn't feel right to her. Her spirit is saying this is not right, but I can't somehow break this. Where did it come from? And so it's family systems, because family systems are the root, they're the imprint, they are the attachment for all of your intimate relationships. So of course it's the family. And so of course it affects your relationship with the family, because it makes you really angry, because your parents have no clue that this has happened. They have no ability to understand these bigger systems at play that influenced it, like boys will be boys, or men don't have emotions, or just whatever. And so it makes her really angry, because now she also has social media and therapy and all this awareness of how messed up it is. And so this creates such an internal conflict for her. But then to the point where she cracks. She gets into motherhood and learns that she cannot be the best mother she can be unless she puts herself first. That's when she maybe overcorrects and cuts off the parents, because she's worried about dealing with now her avoidant husband that she was conditioned to get, because that was just what was modeled for her. So now she's in the most vulnerable phase of her life with a new baby, trying to make sense of everything. She's so overwhelmed. Her body is telling her to take care of yourself. Take care of me, please. You haven't your whole life. And so part of it is, again, an overcorrection where she cuts off the people that she feels responsible for to worry about herself, which is actually, from a developmental point of view, so healthy. And you as parents should be so proud of her that she's putting herself first. Mom, if you told her don't do this, she's actually doing it. And yes, it is at the expense of your relationship, but you have a responsibility in that, because that's what you kind of created in her. Dad's presence is so important here, because it's teaching her the value of boundaries and self-respect in a relationship. Because remember, we want her to learn this stuff while she's under your roof. That way, it's part of her development. She's not learning it at 40 years old, 30 years old, when she's out of the house. You have no control. You have a distant relationship, and she's so mad at you, but she can't put it into words that you'll understand, because you don't understand her, because you don't know her. You only know you getting your emotional needs met by her. It is so important for her to do that. So Be proud of her, champion her for taking her boundaries and taking her life back, taking her emotions back, and making her and helping her focus on herself. That is the goal of detachment with the daughter. And that, I think, is key here.